Okay, I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, September 6, 2022 meeting of the Capital Improvement Board for the City of Twinsburg. Could I start the roll call, please, Shelley?
Shelley Shipley,
Eric Horniak.
Patrick Kane.
Sharon Price,
Brian Waldorf.
Post. I'm here too.
You know, maybe this is just be time to add from our tour. Are you girls going to take the tour?
yes.
I think the thing we got from it, they do a great job, and it's interesting, but there's 8,000 residents of the city of Twinsburg, and our homes.
Yeah.
16,900 residents. We're essentially landlocked, so in the future, the demand for the wastewater treatment plant is not going to go up by 50% or 20 or 100. So as long as we keep it pumping, these guys are doing a good job, but we're never going to be way out of whack in capacity and stuff, I think, you know. And he showed us why that extra tank, why he needs it, because that water otherwise goes over the wall right into Tinker's Creek. So, you know, just it's kind of the thought of that versus just going into another holding tank to be treated at a later date seems to me to be like a worthwhile environmental safety, nice city venture. You know, I know it's kind of subjective and soft, but I mean, it was interesting, you know. It was interesting.
Definitely worth it.
Okay, can I have somebody approve the minutes from the 8:30 meeting?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay, Sharon.
I'll
approves.
second.
Second, okay, Brian. We've approved and seconded the meetings from last week. Obviously, now there's going to be a lot of follow-up on presentations. One of the things, too, I'd like to say to you ladies is, as we were there was a sludge truck being loaded. And these are really big trucks with sides about from here to the ceiling, right, guys?
Full-size dump truck.
Yeah, full-size dump truck.
Yeah, it's a
Yep.
big, like, triaxle dump truck.
We got to see the cake.
Yeah.
It
And there's
was
a
loading cake.
conveyor
That's
belt
exactly what it was
taking
doing.
the processed sludge, dumping it into the truck, and then the truck drives it down to Medina to farms, where it's dumped onto farm fields and spread out as fertilizer. And they have a special on fall corn this week, Shelley. No, it's to be used for non-feed.
Do they pay for that?
They said he pays very little to
Right.
dump. It's minimal because they're getting a use out of it.
That
And
was
they,
my question. I was wondering if
yeah, they grow field
Yeah.
corn and soybeans and human
yeah,
edible
right.
crops out of it. And it's about a 25-mile each way, he said, trip at least. And he said, you know, and there currently is this one truck is consistently circling. And obviously without that truck, or if that truck broke down, what I didn't know is the truck that's running has that same bad engine as the truck that's not running. It was bought at the same time.
The
So
nice
if-
truck that we saw in there holding the
Yes,
cake.
yes, I asked Nate. And if that truck blew up tomorrow, pardon the expression, but no, I can't say it, we're being recorded, but I mean, it would be bad, wouldn't it? It really would. I mean, that, we can't afford. So what worries me is we order a truck and it takes 2 years. You know, everything now, everybody's talking about 2 years for everything. So even and when we get to the request, we'll add a little bit to it. But it is good to see these things so you understand exactly what you're spending your money on and what is worthwhile. And the other thing that we also learned, Sarah, and you can correct me, we have very, very low sewer rates in Twinsburg compared to other communities.
Yes.
And financially, it is not any type of a terrible burden or drag on the overall budget.
Yeah, financially, I believe before we did the rate increase that we did a few years ago, I think it was either the lowest or the second lowest in the state when they did some research. And even with the increase, I think it was still one of the lowest in the state. Because if you look at our flat rate, which is $62.50 a quarter, but that includes that little $2 water charge, $2.50 water charge, that flat rate is still better than, like, you know, the bigger places that do the sewer. So like NEO, RSD services a lot of places around here. So it's significantly lower, and that flat rate is a really big deal.
Amazing,
too,
yeah.
You know.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, do we want to follow up now and do the follow-up on the presentations, see if we have any questions?
Yeah, if there's any questions, you guys have your voting list in front of you there. So whatever questions you have, we can go through, and then we'll do our normal voting process where I'll read off the item, and then we'll do yays and nays, and just if you do have a nay vote on something, if you could just say your name, because that is what worked out really easily last year to be able to jot those down.
And I'd like to say, Shelley, you're new, but you're not really new. You were here last year. I think at times maybe, I don't know if you want to call it the old-fashioned peer pressure, but you're afraid if everybody's talked about something and voting yes, you might be hesitant to have a nay vote. But if you really believe in it, I think, and I appreciate it, to have a nay vote on the record. I mean, that's...
Yeah, no, and we had several items last year that were split votes. I mean, that's normal process.
Yeah, I said
normal,
no.
Yeah, normal.
Yeah,
part
I
of the
said no
voting
too.
process.
Yeah, me too.
And we also had a couple items that did not pass last year. So, absolutely, vote the way that's what you're here for, is to vote to recommend or not recommend for it to go forward to Finance Committee.
Now, we're going to start out, obviously, the way you've got it listed here, Sarah. So the land and development account would be the first ones we're going to discuss and or vote on? How?
Well, so if you have any specific questions from the past three meetings, the past three sets of presentations, we can go through all that now.
Okay.
And then when we get to the voting, we'll just run right through all the items. So if you want to take a moment and
Sharon,
look through
do you
the
have a question?
items.
Let's give
Yeah.
Sharon the floor.
Sure.
So we're at a total of 5 million for total project cost, it looks like.
For the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are at this point, I would ask Capital Improvement Board to recommend to Finance Committee to look at all of those infrastructure projects.
Okay.
So we don't have any cuts to infrastructure at the moment, correct? And pretty much everything else we had cuts in there, well, I shouldn't say cuts, we had,
Reprioritization.
yes, and moving things to a following year. So like our police and fire levy fund, we had those couple items that fire had agreed to put a hold on. Chief Mason, we're gonna do the 2 and 2 on those admin vehicles. Service, we're holding off on that bucket truck. All those things that we went through on the presentations have been removed from the list so that you have a clean list to work from.
Excuse me. So the admin vehicles for the police, I believe I was not here for that one when he discussed it. What are the admin vehicles used for?
So
Are they just for them to drive?
yeah, so the admin vehicles are for, I refer to them as the brass. That's probably not the appropriate thing to refer to them, but for the chief, the lieutenants, it's their vehicles, the administrative vehicles.
And then whenever they
the-
drive those, they're just driving them on a daily basis?
Right, yeah.
So
So
they're-
they can take those vehicles out to a call, if the chief goes out on a call just like anybody else.
But I mean,
would.
are they like using them to go to the grocery store? Are they going to the movies? Or, with admin vehicles, how are they used?
So the only time that we normally would have an admin vehicle that would be on a personal use side is, and they're actually like working out the strategy on that right now, but would be like if we had somebody in town, like say the chief, if he's going, to the high school, he might have his admin vehicle there with him because if he gets a call in town at the high school, he's gonna
Sure.
jump in his admin vehicle and go to the call.
Got it.
And they
So nobody's
said,
taking them home, basically. Like
What's that?
So nobody's taking them home is what you were kind of thinking.
No, they are taking them home.
No, they're
taking them home.
Yeah, there are vehicles.
They're their vehicles that they get to take take
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Now-
that's what I.
There is like a limitation that they're working out on that, so that like if somebody lives in, I don't know, Stark County.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Does that still serve a purpose to us for that person to have a take-home vehicle? Probably not so much. That vehicle would probably stay here in town. You know what I mean? Because if you live 50 minutes away,
Yeah, well, yeah, sure.
is that
Yeah,
gonna
it doesn't
help
make
you
any
want to
sense,
call?
yeah.
Yeah, so, but they are making all those formal policies and that'll all be in place before the admin vehicles got delivered.
and then they said they were from 2013 and 2015.
The vehicles that they're going to get are they?
The backline vehicles.
They're the two that they want to replace, and they discussed replacing 2
Yeah.
now and 2 later.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
4, all at once.
Right,
Gotcha.
it's 2 and 2, yep, and so,
Just to try to give you some more background.
No, I appreciate it.
That's all I have for now.
Thank you. Sir, I have a question.
sure.
And maybe I just forgot from last week. Why do we have the pool pack listed as TBD?
So the pool pack and the roof project at the
Right.
fitness center, that is to be determined because that is the one big project that we are still working on where all of the funding is coming from.
Okay.
Because the goal is for the city to not cover the full cost of that project. That project is $2.3 million. But we do not have those agreements in place yet on who else will be contributing to the cost of that project. And then also, once we know the city's portion of that project, we'll be going out to financing. So until we know how much we need to finance, I don't have the numbers, so what
Well,
we would
Sarah,
ask-
do we do a yay or a nay kind of blind as per the cost? Because obviously it's totally necessary, the pool shuts down, right?
Right,
I mean-
exactly. So what we're asking CIB to do tonight is vote through to finance to consider the project. Obviously, before it would go into the budget, we have to have some solid numbers to give to finance committee and to council.
Yeah, Dave, so we got, that's $2 million. So
It is,
it's
yeah.
an important
And
thing
it's-
to,
Yeah, that's why we would ask that CIB just approve for the project to be considered at finance committee. But we're not approving any dollars at this point because we don't have that dollar amount yet.
okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a
Shel?
question, Sarah. I missed the meeting on the East Idlewood pedestrian bridge. Which bridge is that? The one that goes over the creek?
That, yes, that is the one that goes over the creek, the East Idlewood one. She actually, there's a grant that goes along with the East Idlewood Bridge that she applied for. I do not believe we've gotten a response yet on that grant, but that was under Amy's presentations. But it is that one that when the creek floods, it goes up over top of the bridge.
Yeah.
So her plans have for that bridge to come up. I mean,
Okay.
the way she explained it, it sounds like, if there's something really bad, you're probably still gonna have some flooding at that bridge, but it's gonna be made out of materials that can hold up to that,
Gotcha.
as opposed to what you have out there right now.
And then it'll be ADA compliant too, I think.
Yeah, the bridge, I think
Well,
the
that
bridge
bridge.
has to be.
But, let me ask you guys a question. Has
Yeah.
anybody driven by and looked at that bridge and that play area there? It's next to the baseball field. If you go over the bridge, there's nothing there that I can see. It looks like there's like a picnic table. I
Well,
mean,
there's a pavilion with a bunch of
No, I
picnic
think
tables
there's-
under
further
it.
back,
Yeah.
is there?
It's a pretty heavily
Yeah.
used
You can't
bridge.
get to it without the bridge?
Yeah.
You can get to it from East Idlewood, but when you go through, you park in the parking lot at Idlewood, you walk to the pavilion, and then the bridge
Yeah.
takes you to the Dodge Trail, yeah.
Just $200,000 to walk.
It's also an access point to the trail itself.
Correct, yeah. So if you're coming from the trail, you access
It
the
is one of the
picnic area.
things that I know council has gotten several
action.
concerns.
Yeah.
It's
from
it's a hot
residents,
commodity
so I
on
understand why.
Facebook
I mean-
right now.
Use.
My looking at it is if you're out there
Did you?
walking the trail, walk around and get to the other side of the thing for $200,000. I'd rather,
Yes, I've seen.
Yeah, there's a
them.
lot of passion behind that.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was.
Right.
Right.
And another question I had, Sarah, I don't know if I can ask this or not, but last year we were pretty comfortable with what we were presenting and how much we had to spend. Is
Mhm.
this year the same thing? If we okayed everything,
So this year,
if that makes sense?
it
yeah,
does
it
make
does.
sense.
This year, yeah, the stuff that we're asking finance committee to consider at this point, we're comfortable moving forward with to present to them. However, as we are kind of in this strange place with how work from home and income tax and where we're gonna end up, we are gonna do a temporary budget again this year. So come January through March, depending on how things ended up, there might be some restructuring based on, what the revenues look like.
That's all.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question, Shelley.
Yeah. On the infrastructure side, you can see there's a lot of different places we're pulling money from next year, and that makes a big difference too.
I got a question on the sidewalk program.
Sure.
I know it's. Do you know of any other cities do a lot of other cities do the sidewalk program? Because I know a lot of the cities that I'm familiar with, the residents are required to maintain their own sidewalks. The city will say to them, these 3 blocks need to be replaced, and you have 6 months to replace them. Sidewalks need to be leveled, and I know a lot of cities require
Yeah.
the residents to maintain their own. I was just curious if we're one of the few that, I don't know if you
In-
know that or not. I don't know if
I've heard that too. I've heard that same
In
thing.
my experience, I haven't seen where the city sends a letter and says, hey, you need to deal with this. I have seen where the city says, hey, we need to deal with this. We're coming to your area and you're gonna have a special assessment on your property to pay for the sidewalk repair or replacement. So I don't know that I've seen that I'm sure that situation exists. Just in my experience, I've seen it assessed out to the residents. So they'll get a notice and it'll say, hey, this year's sidewalk program includes your road. Here's how much it's gonna cost you. You can come talk to us about it at a public hearing, and then, the project
what you're
moves
saying?
forward, and then you see the charges on your property tax bill over the course of however many years they pay for it.
And that's here in Twinsburg. That's
No.
not here in Twinsburg. No, that's
No,
saying where you've seen
elsewhere.
elsewhere. Okay, that's what I thought you said. 'Cause
No, that's,
I wasn't
That's-
sure if you were
that's
saying,
what
like,
I-
maybe that Twinsburg.
no, that's what I've seen other places.
In other places. Okay.
Yeah,
gonna say,
no,
we have a
here in
sidewalk program,
here in
we still gotta
Twinsburg,
pay?
we do
What's
not
that?
charge it, we do not assess the residents for that program.
Right.
If I don't, this is probably not the correct time, but
That's okay.
we're talking about the subject. I have an issue with landscapers doing work and destroying the sidewalks and then the town replacing them. That's, if it's settling and has an issue, as a citizen, I support that, but I have a real fundamental issue with landscape, because I've seen it twice now.
What specific, what are they breaking away?
They're putting a pool in the backyard and they're using to dig, and they're complete, the
It's
one
such a heavy
is,
machine, you mean?
yes,
Okay.
Oh.
that it depressed it and cracked it, and I'm like, well, I'm sure the town will be fixing that at some point when they go through
Yeah.
and do their assessment. And I don't feel like, I feel like more care should be given, or
Some
There
sort
should
of
be
reporting, is there a
yeah, they
number or
should be
something you can
you
call
should
to
be
report that?
responsible for it.
You can,
That's-
there's
That's
both
my total
online,
commentary.
or you can call the mayor's office and report something like that. Now, as far as what whatever permits you have to pull, that I can get you some
Yeah.
information from the building department on what they have to see, but
Like
They're-
almost like
they're-
a pre and post inspection or something to
Right.
say, hey, you guys,
this happened,
it was
yeah.
intact when we
And the,
pre-inspected.
Sure.
Why should we pay?
there is an in-house sidewalk program as well. So this is what the city can't fix in-house. The service department does a lot of stuff like that where, they'll go out and we have special machinery to level the sidewalks and things like that. So they do as much as they can in-house. What Amy does is the service department comes back to her each year and says, hey, here's the things that we can't take care of in-house. It's too bad. We gotta put it on the
Do you
sidewalk
have
program.
is one contractor, again, I'm new here also, so.
Yeah.
I can only use that for 1 year though, right? 'Cause once you have 1 year of the cycle, I can't.
Next
keep saying
year,
it, right?
yeah.
Next year,
Right.
I gotta know all these things.
Yeah, she
Uh,
goes, it's
is it
part of her
multiple
bid
contractors?
list. No, it's part of her bid list that she bids out, so somebody will
One
get
contract.
awarded the sidewalk program for 2023.
See,
Sarah, are we going to do Durridge Road this year? Is that going to happen?
In 2022 this year,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
in 2023?
Well, I mean, we went through this last year. Here's what I'm concerned about.
Storage got held because
We got a
of
$2
pricing.
million ladder truck. We got a $2 million pool pack. And I don't know if the ladder truck we know is 2 years out. The pool pack, I don't know if they have to install that tomorrow, because if the pool goes down, we have a problem. And then we've got Durridge Road. I mean, are we okay with 2 million, 2 million, 2 million?
It's only 1/10 of, it's 175,000. It's year 1 of 10. So they're doing the same financing that they do for all their vehicles. So
Yeah.
they're spreading it out over 10 years.
Yeah,
so-
and there's a dedicated funding source for that truck. That's that police and fire levy fund. So then on Dorridge, on that project, we
I see we've got a lot.
there's several different places we're paying for that Dorridge project, but you're right, that is something you've seen before. The pricing came back way different than expected. That was one of the ones that it was so different that we said, let's pause for a moment. Amy talked to the folks that are providing the 0% financing for that project and said, hey, we need to rebid this. We need to go back and look and see what's going on here.
Oh, that's
So
okay.
that's why you see it again for next year to reappropriate it. But yeah, that Dorridge project pulls from a lot of different places.
Okay, then are we ready? Is everybody ready to vote, or do we have any more questions?
I'm ready.
Those were all excellent questions.
Just a general comment. I mean, I know, like, they're all great questions, and everything I see this year, like, I don't really see much of anything that's frivolous. Like, everything on here is needed. You know, it's
Yeah.
clear. You know, in the golf course especially, like the requests in years past, I mean, they've been, you know, pretty extensive and everything else. So
Yeah.
I think that the fact that it's, you know, they're looking at, you know, one piece of equipment and, you know,
Yeah.
kind of looking at those things. I mean, we've seen a lot of these things in years past, and it's
Right.
come up again and again and again, and you know, things have had to be pushed or whatever. I mean, at some point, we can't keep pushing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Correct.
it can't be keep.
Well, these
we can't
department
push
heads
stuff.
keep things going 30 and 40
Yes.
years, whether it's a truck or
Yeah.
whether it's wastewater or whether it's, you know, I mean, they do an amazing job. It's you know, you're right.
And the department heads are very good about prioritizing. You know, they tell us what their needs are, and then if we say, hey, we're not gonna be able to take care of all this, what are the things that you can make it last another year? You know, that's the conversation like we had with Fred with the service department requests. It was, you know, we're probably not gonna be able to take care of all of that, and he said, I can get the bucket truck another year, you know, go ahead and hold it. So they're very good about that.
And Sarah, just one last thing, then I know we got to get going.
Sure.
Whatever happened on the budget here for the study for moving the river and the ADA compliance and everything back for, you know, the concert center and all that?
Right, so just the study ended up being approved in the 2022 budget. We had approved a bigger portion of that project to get done, but then when Amy went back, there was some EPA things
stuff,
that we
right.
needed to look at. So actually, just the study cost was done in 2022, and that's not yet completed. We haven't
No,
even gotten
okay.
the bills in yet from that. But that was the piece of that bigger grant project that the former mayor was able to secure through the state. And that'll be in that phase 2 that we'll look at in 2024.
Okay. All right, you
That was
ready?
that whole moving dirt thing,
Phase
Yeah.
if you
one is
remember.
the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, one is
The
the bathroom
bathroom
now,
and the playground, yep.
yeah. Bathroom playground.
You got it.
Well,
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I think we have it covered. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, we will just start on the first page that you see there, and we'll just work our way through all 4 pages. Like I said, if you do have a nay vote on something, if you could just say your name, just because that is what worked out easiest for the minutes, if everybody's comfortable with
Sure.
that. Okay. Okay, so under land and development, we have the 2023 tree program for $30,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? East Idlewood pedestrian bridge for $195,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Patrick Kane?
Thank you. City sidewalk program, $60,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Under IT, we have the access control system, year 2 of 3. This is one of those committed to lease financing payments for $105,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A vehicle for the inspector for the building department for $32,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Brian Waldorf.
Thank you. Okay, down to the service department. Fuel dispensers for $40,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A rooftop AC unit for $22,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? HVAC controls upgrade. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A zero-turn mower. That's actually 2 mowers. I apologize. I didn't have the 2 in parentheses
yeah.
there. I will
Because they
get
were
that
18,000
corrected.
apiece.
Yeah. 2 zero-turn mowers for $36,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2 chip boxes for $120,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2 5-ton trucks, year 1 of a 3-year lease program. This is not a committed to lease. This would be a brand new financing for $160,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-wheel drive pickup truck with plow, $60,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And 2 2-wheel drive pickup trucks for $100,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Name?
That was Pat.
Pat, I'm sorry.
You're
Yeah,
fine.
Pat King.
Thank you. On to the senior center. They just had the one request for the patio structure for $25,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And Parks and Rec Capital, the ODNR grant phase 1. So this is for the playground and bathroom, and this is just the city portion of the cost for $225,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Water park furniture for $8,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Water park concrete. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So that is all the capital improvement fund items. Now we'll move on to the safety service capital improvement items. That is our police and fire levy, so we do have the dedicated property tax for these items. Chief 1 vehicle, this is fire, Chief 1 vehicle for $70,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Brian Waldorf.
Thank you. Year 2 of a 5-year lease financing for 2 med units at $152,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This is a new lease for a ladder truck. The payment is expected to be $175,000. It's currently, the total cost of the truck is expected to come in at 1.75. Chief did leave room for finance charges. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Engine lease year 4 of 10, $82,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. On to police. We have year 2 of a 5-year lease agreement for the 911 communication system for $50,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? GTAC video system for $5,500. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Computer-aided dispatch, this would be a new financing arrangement, year 1 of 7, for $50,000 would be the year 1 payment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2 administrative vehicles for $74,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Brian Waldorf.
Thank you. Year 1 of 2 on 2 Detective Bureau vehicles for $11,500. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And year 2 of 2 for 2 Detective Bureau vehicles leased. These are actual leases, $10,500. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next up, we have our wastewater capital improvement projects. So hopefully, the majority of the board, the rest of the board will have their tour next week, but hopefully we all understand a little bit more what we're getting ourselves into. It's a good tour. I&I improvements collection system for $7,000.
Aye.
Aye.
All those in favor. All those opposed? The design for the plant rehab, which is going to be a $1.3 million 0% financing loan. So there is no budget line item for this because we will not have a payment due next year, but we do want Capital Improvement Board to approve to Finance Committee to get that project going. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Industrial pretreatment flow meters, $12,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Lab equipment autoclave replacement for $13,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Lab equipment water system. All those in favor?
Aye.
For $8,200, I apologize. And all those opposed? A sludge hauling truck for $198,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Replacement of number 3 effluent pump for $29,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And Vector truck frame repairs for $40,000. This does add to the life of the vehicle, which is why you see it on the capital request list for $40,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next, we have the golf course. There was a tee and an approach mower requested. So we're looking for one to be approved or recommended to finance at this time. So whether it's a tee or approach mower, Jim can make that decision for $55,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. On to fitness center, we have year 5 of a 5-year equipment lease for $38,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Next, we have the roof and pull pack replacement project. So that is a $2.3 million project, as we discussed earlier. We are still looking at the funding and financing sources for that project. So what we'd like the Capital Improvement Board is just to recommend to Finance Committee to keep that project on its way throughout the budget process, even though we don't have a number just yet. So it's to recommend to Finance Committee to consider this project. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Natatorium scoreboard, $53,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Flow meters, $11,500. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Handicapped lift chair for the indoor pool, $9,050. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. And now we'll move on to the infrastructure program for 2023. We have the 2023 road program for $1.47 million. And again, all of these projects come from, well, there's a couple that are specifically sewer improvement, but for the most part, these projects do come from multiple funding sources. So the 2023 road program, $1.47 million. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? 2023 road striping program, $200,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Storage water line and reconstruction, $2.195 million. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Cannon Road, $500,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Four Corners right-of-way, $100,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ravenna Road Sanitary, $516,560. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And we have $50,000 for emergency repairs. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay. And any questions or comments on the voting?
You know, I think we did a good job of talking things out, and I appreciate, Brian, you're saying no on some things, because I think there's always doubts and questions on things, especially when it comes to vehicles. You know, vehicles, you know, they're everywhere. Do you use them? Do you need them? Could you pass them around? I think that's a tough one. We could debate forever, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, nowadays, you know, what I think we all learned as a group, which was great, and Dave, last year, we went and saw the police cars, which are those Explorers. Well, the Explorer itself costs 40, 50 grand, but then the equipment in it costs 30, 40 grand. So when I see a fire chief's car for 70 grand, once again, is that a $40,000, $50,000 car with 20, 30,000 worth of electronics and scanners and things? You know, it's hard for us, I guess, as civilians to really understand some of this stuff. So I would like to recommend in the future, Sarah and Dave, that the Capital Improvement Board, whoever it is, always visits some segment of the city to really get an idea of what they're talking about. I think, I mean, last year and this year, I have learned a lot, and I think it's helped us in our conversations and looking at these things, you know. You don't want to rubber stamp it, you don't want to argue for the sake of arguing either. You want to do a good job for the city. And I think, don't you guys think it's...
Yeah, I think it was very beneficial for me to be able to get to see the cars, take a tour of the police station, the wastewater treatment, to actually see the things that we're going to be putting in place that we're helping the city with. And you know, I think it's really great. You know, I'm just open to all different kinds of ideas. So I mean, I think with the vehicle thing, there, you know, maybe you guys are putting something in place. I don't know that right now, so you know, I think there's definitely other methods that we could look at besides, you know, budgeting for a vehicle. But
See, I think we could sink one of those vehicles and walk over it in the park there in Idlewood.
Use it to raise the bridge.
Use it, yes.
Might take a couple. A little wider than one cruiser, yeah.
Okay, guys, we're on miscellaneous. Does anybody else have any questions or druthers or anything they'd like to say?
Nope.
Well,
This
I
is
just
the
wanna-
last meeting.
Yeah.
So it makes me sad I can't see your reactions to the tour you're going to take. I want to, oh, one is enough. One is enough.
we're not going.
Yeah, I just want to be there to see your face at the one specific place.
We all agreed, there's the one station, we all agreed, we never smelled anything like that in our life. Not good, not bad, I'm not saying.
Sarah, you been there?
It was
I have taken the tour.
beyond belief,
You know what
right?
I'm talking about, then, the first building?
The very first building there.
So
I took the tour pregnant.
So you
Yeah, it is the
all this
beginning.
stuff comes in, right? And it goes through, think about it, just goes through like 10 different
I think I had
buildings,
just
get
gotten
treated,
out of
right?
it,
Well, the first
yeah.
building is right from all the
That's where
walls.
everything comes
So
in.
it's just it's like the chocolate river in Willy Wonka.
Oh my God, Dave, you got
not,
it's chocolate
It
river.
doesn't look
Oh,
as bad as you
drop
might
your
expect.
donuts.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another tour that's amazing that we went on the Environmental Commission was the recycling plant we did. If you ever have a chance to go to a recycling plant, it's amazing. It was amazing seeing how all of that stuff, giant amount of garbage just gets separated into 50 places, and guys like Laverne and Shirley just doing this and pulling stuff, you know.
Wow.
And it's amazing when you walk through a plant like this today that someone forever ago said, all right, we need to make it so that it can all flow downhill to this location, no matter how far out, and the process, and it's mind-blowing. He said today that if we want to rebuild this thing today,
Yeah.
starting over,
The whole wastewater treatment.
like just, I said, how, because they had to build it at some point, right?
Sure.
You
Yeah.
want to take a guess as to how much he said to rebuild a wastewater treatment plant?
Nate gives me some scary.
How much?
Number something.
How much?
1 billion. She's a ship.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
You're right.
$1 billion.
If that ever happens, I don't want to be in the committee. Let me know ahead of time. We talking about $1 billion. $1 billion.
So
Yeah.
where did they get the
I
money
don't.
to
I
build
don't know
that
if I
back
would
in the
want to
day?
be.
So who built that back in the day and how?
What
They
year
built-
was it built? Did he? I didn't know if he said on the.
I don't think
Sorry.
Nate
Yeah.
didn't tell us. I don't think he.
Yeah.
Well, he said the equipment's 30, 40 years old, so
Yeah,
if
that's
you go
true.
on that regard. But they probably
Like
did
the
it just like a
90s,
turnpike though. We'll build it now and then we're gonna charge all these rates to
Yeah.
back pay it maybe,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
Yeah. My guess is that he is including all the infrastructure that goes along with it. So you
Yeah,
got
for
to
$1
think
billion, it was,
all
like,
of the
brand new.
lines
Everything
Yeah.
underneath.
that come
all
in,
the-
everything underneath the roads, because what you don't see a lot of the times is when Amy is doing, like, say, the Dorage program that you just voted through for finance to
Right,
reconsider tonight.
sewer
There
line on
is,
that.
when we have that road dug up, we're gonna be looking at those sewer lines while
The
that
sewer
road is
line's
dug
a
up.
million of it.
Mm-hmm.
A
Correct.
million of the 900,000 of the 2
Yeah,
million.
so I can
It's just
see
that.
how he would get to billion with a B if he's including all the lines throughout the city, because
The
you know,
lift
if you look the past
stations.
30 years of this city, it doubled in size. You know, I'm sure, you know, who knows
Well,
how
how many
much.
went to like the private septic to
Sure,
that?
exactly how many people tied in. Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
Well, Sarah, what's our step this year for next week? Or when do we?
It's all you, buddy.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to thank Capital Improvement Board. You guys always do such a fantastic job, and it's wonderful to have returning people that have been through it before, so that you can go see another piece of the city. You know, next year maybe we can go look at all the recreation spots. You know, the pool, the fitness center, the community center, the golf course. You know, we'll keep looking at a different section of the city, because I do think it's really helpful. So hopefully, you know, you guys keep in touch.
Well, I would like to say, just like what he said, I kind of asked you about that before when we
Yeah.
went to visit the vehicles. I think
Sure.
that it's really important that whenever we do approve these things and they do get implemented, that we get to see
What
that
happens.
these things are being implemented and how the benefit of
Yeah.
you know, what the benefit is, you know.
Right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I need to go.
I know those traffic cameras that we put up are really cool, that were helping, and they've been functioning pretty well and helping
Yeah.
catch a couple,
Absolutely.
couple people
Yeah, those
coming into
The
town.
license plate things, yep.
yeah.
Yeah, with the
Very good
stolen
stuff.
vehicles, that's.
Stolen vehicles, yeah.
You know, Sarah, what I'd like to suggest too is based on what you guys are just talking about. I think next year all 5 of us are done, right?
It is a 2-year term, so I think whatever process,
Yeah.
that's through the clerk's office.
Don't you think that this board should be staggered for terms? So whether, you know, it'd be me or Eric or Sharon, say, wait, we talked about this to the new guys. You know, 2 years ago, we were talking about that roof or that sewer, but here's what happened, that project. To keep continuity on the board, I think we should have different staggered terms or different periods of the terms, durations. It might be something that city council,
I do know that many of the boards are staggered like that.
yeah.
I
I mean, we're in the midst of a lot of things we've all been working on. A lot of us have been here, Dave, for 4 years.
well, that was actually the question I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
Is how long have you guys been on CIB? And,
4.
You know, Mike, before all of you, before you
Shelley.
two.
Shelley's too. She was.
But we're just kind of getting to figure out, you know, these guys and what they ask and what to ask, and, you know,
Well, that's exactly right. And, you know, I keep saying, you know, all year long, you know, I'm new on city council. Everyone's like, well, you can't keep saying that. But you have to go through a year of the cycle to know next year I'll be like, okay, now I get it. You know, I don't know what I don't know.
Well, it's
And
like
so-
a new job.
It's like a new
It
job.
takes a couple years
Right.
to really get your bearings.
Exactly, and every season of city council is different. In the fall, we're doing different things, and
Yeah.
the summer, we're doing different things. So you know, I would hope that you guys would continue to show interest in being on the board. You know, I don't know if there's
Dave, the
can
first
have
year,
family
Sarah reminded me, my first wife, she was spending money like crazy, and I had no idea if she really
Before
had
the
it or
meetings
not.
start, have
You know,
everybody
it
come
was
back.
my first wife,
First wife, you know what?
ex-wife.
Now you can tell her. You can be like, no. You
No,
can
yeah,
come
no.
on, I just to know it. Well, I just hope you guys show continued interest, you know, because you guys do a great job.
Well, I
you.
say it every time, but I mean, Sarah's, you do an amazing job. You make it very easy for
Sarah
us,
makes
the
all
way
that.
you describe everything, the way you have everybody come in. I know that the department heads do what they're supposed to do, but the way you align it for us to be able to review it and see it is very, very helpful. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think we all agree, Sarah, you're a superstar. And one of the reasons we've done this for 4 years is because we love working with you.
Oh, that's
It's
very
great.
kind, very
Thank
kind.
you.
But yeah, for sure, I am only as good as the department heads because they know all the details. That's why I bring them to talk to you, because I can tell you what they told me, but a lot of times, you know, Nate's the guy. That's
Well, when
why
we're
I send
talking,
you out
yeah,
to
when
the
we're talking
wastewater
about
treatment
sewer
plant,
pumps, you don't know what you're talking about?
I know enough to explain how much it's gonna cost. But I depend on those department heads to give me all the information, you know, and
Yeah,
be
but
able to
you-
come
You do a lot,
and present
Sarah.
to it,
Your
yeah.
emails come like that,
Mhm.
and every
Yeah.
question's answered, you know exactly
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Meticulous.
Yeah, well, you guys have a very tough job, and it's a very tight time frame. So we really truly appreciate everything you do, because that's the tough part of CIB is you're back to back to back for a month, and you're making, you know, I mean, this was millions of dollars that everybody just went through to recommend to finance committee. It's a big task.
Hey, Sarah, what time next week?
So we appreciate it.
Are we-
I will double check, but
Okay.
I believe we're starting at 5:30 Finance Committee next week, so that we can present all of CIB's recommendations, and then we have a normal Finance Committee meeting as well, so it's sort of a combined one. So next week, Pat, you'll
Okay.
stand up there just like Brian did it last year, and I think Angelo before him. You'll stand up there and we'll go through all their recommendations, and usually Finance Committee / Council, usually they're all there. They'll have some questions for you on, you know, what did you think about this, or what did you
Yeah, I
think
would
about
think
this
they would,
wastewater
yeah,
treatment
right.
plant?
You
They
answered
always
most.
usually
Yeah,
have
they didn't have too
some
many
questions.
questions, but I mean,
Yeah.
they were fairly simple. Sam
Yep.
did a really nice job of walking me through what he wanted.
Well,
what they were
obviously,
looking
you know,
for.
I would love to have you guys there if you'd like to come and are free. And I respect and admire you guys greatly. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's nice if everybody can come, because if there's something that you don't remember, you just look back, you know, at your board. and
I don't remember what I had for lunch, Sarah. I hope they don't ask me that.
They might. You never know.
All right, guys, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Yep, Brian will second it.
Brian will second it. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, thank you, thank you.